Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Today, we are going to be talking about this logic puzzle of how some men do not really, despite me constantly saying that women want romance, women need to be treated well, and you need to kind of do what your wife wants, be flexible, be open-minded. If you want her to be open-minded in bed, you got to be open-minded out of bed. Don't make problems about everything. Stop being difficult. Stop being devil's advocate. I say all this stuff, and then I still hear about people who are in the situation where they want sex from their wife, but they don't even say, I love you, never mind, be romantic. So I figured I would do this episode called Wait, Why Would You Get Laid If You're Not Loving, to express that shock. And it really is shock because you need to understand she needs things too. Most men try, but some men don't. And I'll talk about that in a bit. Please do subscribe. The most recent subscriber episode was, yes, you are supposed to handle a soft penis. So on another note, it's very pragmatic. It came to my attention that women do not know that you can handle a soft penis and think that this might embarrass a man. This doesn't embarrass a man. This is his birthday. It's wonderful if you come over and grab the penis out of nowhere. Soft, hard, every which way. Yes. I mean, I've talked about this stuff, but the idea that you're supposed to touch it is still women don't understand. You're not only supposed to touch it when it's hard. I talk about this a lot, but much like men need the romantic stuff hammered home, women need this stuff hammered home. All right, so what do I mean by acting loving and romantic? I have podcasts on this, literally 10 ways, concrete ways to be romantic to your wife. But let's start with real baseline stuff. If you're not saying I love you to your wife, why in the hell would she sleep with you? Why? I don't even understand. I wouldn't do it myself. That's not meaning to say that women don't enjoy casual sex. Sure, they enjoy casual sex, but you don't expect the guy you just met at a bar to say I love you. If he did, that would be weird as shit. He would be like Joe and you. He'd be like a stalker. You don't want that. But the guy that you made babies with, that you were married to, that guy's supposed to love you. Just like I totally think sexual marital contract, you're supposed to have sex. Yes, that is part of marriage, a sexual, intimate, physical relationship. Also, obviously, a loving relationship. Loving relationship is not acts of service. Doesn't matter how many times you fill up her car with gas. I don't care if that's what her number one love language was on the test you took. If you're not saying I love you every day to each other, don't be married then. Just if you don't want to have sex. You cannot be having sex with a man and feel good about yourself within marriage if he is not expressing love for you. Unless you are very emotionally unhealthy and you don't trust men that are emotionally open because you got treated like shit for your whole life as a kid, and you saw your mom get treated like shit, so you assume that men are just pieces of shit, and you married one too, and so now you're in this horrible situation. In that case, you certainly need your own therapy. I hope my podcast can help as well. Certainly not as much as your own therapy, but unless you're in that situation, which is a bad situation, you are a woman who wants the man to express love. What does this look like? Well, for many men, we just got to go baseline. You got to say, I love you every day. That's a rule, new rule. You got to say, I love you every day. This should be an obvious thing to any man who's trying to work on his marriage. If it's not, then it would be instructive to go into your own therapy and think about the relationship you saw between your parents, because I'm telling you, it wasn't good. If you do not think that this is a default, the same way as you would like a hug and a kiss when you come home to be a default, most emotionally healthy women that have no issues with receiving intimacy want, and I don't mean intimacy, code word for sex. I mean intimacy, closeness. They want to be told, I love you. So you must start to do it. If you don't do it, it's probably that is really pretty highly related to the fact that you're not doing too well in the bedroom, because she wants to feel loved. She wants to feel commitment. What else are things that you say? You could say, you look beautiful today. definitely you should say that. Doesn't matter if she's skinny or not. If you want to have sex with her, then she's hot enough for you. So you can refer back to the podcast specifically where a guy said, and I really handed him his ass about it, I can't call my wife beautiful. I just want to call her hot because she needs some weight to lose. She has some weight to lose, and I don't want to make her think it's okay how she looks right now. You could imagine what I did with this question. That's one of my earlier podcasts in season 1. I say season 1 like it's like 5 years ago. It was last year. But anyway, you got to be saying I love you. You have to be saying you look beautiful. You have to be saying you're a good mother. This is a very big one to women. You have to be saying nice things. I don't give a shit that you did your love language thing and she doesn't like verbal affirmation. Unless she tells you to stop, say loving things. You don't have to like write a poem, although if she's very emotional, write a poem. If you write a poem, and listen, I'm going to offer you now right now a free service. Anybody who writes a poem can email it to me, and I will tell you if this is something you should send or not. Because sometimes some guys have written a poem, and it's no, don't send it. It literally says stuff like, despite your flaws. No, your flaws don't go into a poem. So maybe that alone can keep you on the right track. But do not send a poem that says, despite that you have some flaws. That is not a poem. No poetry there. Anyway, so what else is romantic? What else is loving? Taking the kids and saying, why don't you go get your nails done or take a walk or go relax? Sure, that's loving. It's also like being a teammate, so you got to say it in kind of a loving way. You got to say you got to have like a word like sweetheart, sweetheart, honey, babe. You got to have one of those. If you don't have one of those, remember, I assume, hopefully you used to at the beginning call her something that wasn't Mary, or like whatever her name is. If her name isn't Mary, maybe Mary's a cute nickname, but in the case where her name is Mary and you just call her Mary, this is not very romantic. You gotta make her feel warm and fuzzy. The same way as you want to feel very erotically connected in the bedroom, she wants to feel emotionally connected. The same way as you would want a sex life that you could replay for like a montage in your head that makes you feel good about yourself, she wants romantic things like that. She wants to be able to say to her girlfriends, oh, it was so cute, what the hell's your name? A fictional person, Fred. Fred came home with flowers and he had gotten the babysitter and then we went out to eat. And then everybody's going to be like, girl, you are so lucky. Bob hasn't done that in like 15 years and I'm going to divorce his ass because he's not Fred. And that's like wonderful because then your wife feels like top of the anthill, like she is the winner, just as you would if your wife gave you some sort of transformative sexual experience, although men do not brag about that in the way that women brag about being taken out to dinner. At least they don't usually do that. So anyway, so you really want to be giving your wife the romance novel experience if you want the porn experience, right? Think about it. It's like tit for tat. It's very, but not in a bad way. It's not tit for tat like, I will not take her on a date unless she gives me a blowjob. Then you're never getting a blowjob. But if you think, man, I'm going to empathize, radical empathy. What do women want? Oh, I'm going to Google it. I'm going to listen to Dr. Psych Mom's podcast on it or post. This would be like 5 minutes of your life. 10 things women want for you to be more romantic. Or I write other ones. What do women want? I'm writing this shit all the time. So try to do some of it. You got to be saying I love you every day. You got to compliment her every day. You want to make your wife feel secure in your relationship, that there is like a man who loves her more than anything in the world, that there is a man who is pleasant and supportive, that if she makes plans, this is a man that will be excited for her. Like if your wife wants to go to a mom's night, you're not like, oh, so I'm going to be with the kids. Instead, you're like, have fun, sweetheart. Women want to feel secure. Everybody wants to feel secure, but they do it in different ways. So a man would like the idea that like he would go away for a business trip, and before and afterwards, you have great sex with him. Once so that he remembers, and then when he comes back to be happy that he's back, to reunite, right? if a woman goes away, she would want you to say, I miss you, my darling. You're so beautiful. I can't live without you. I don't know how I'll do it for these, 3 days that you're on a business trip. You're such a great mom. I don't know even how I'm going to do anything without you. But it'll be okay because I want you to have a great time too. And please, just live your best life when you go. That's what a person wants from their husband when they go travel. They want this supportive sort of romantic, I love you, I'll miss you, we're going to miss you so much, but we're going to be okay, and, have fun. But yet, some guys that really would want the sex before they leave and when they get home, when the wife goes on a business trip, they're like, oh, you going on another trip, huh? Oh, all right, well, I guess I'll take the kids to my mom. What the fuck is that? That response is why you don't get laid. This passive-aggressive, devil's advocate-y type of shit. That one wasn't devil's advocate, but I'm just saying all of the things that make a man difficult are usually sulking, passive aggression, devil's advocate, and kind of name-calling. You say name-calling, I would never call my wife half the names that I want to call her. But crazy. Anything that involves the word crazy, anything that's like, that's irrational, that's not nice, that's calling her crazy. Or like, that doesn't make sense when said like with dripping with contempt. You don't want a man who's contemptuous. No woman's going to sleep with a contemptuous man, again, unless she's unhealthy, and you don't want an unhealthy woman raising your children. You don't want a woman with low self-esteem raising your children. So, you got to, if she doesn't already have high self-esteem, then you got to maybe try to give her some. And yes, you can help somebody's self-esteem. Think about it. Wouldn't it help your self-esteem if your wife wanted to have sex with you all the time? Hell yes, it would. So you can help her self-esteem by being nice, loving, patient, direct versus passive-aggressive, supportive versus playing devil's advocate, interested, attentive, present, all of these things that a woman finds loving. So however you're acting with your kids when they tell you a story, you should be even better when your wife tells you a story. Most people, they listen to the kid tell them this ridiculous thing. Men are better at this than women, by the way, because I guess they just turn off their brain and they're not as highly sensitive to like the sound, literally the sound of the story, and then, makes a highly sensitive person go out of their mind. But there's fewer highly sensitive men. They can listen to the kid talk about Minecraft for like 20 minutes. Of course, you're just thinking about work. Nobody believes you're listening because you're not. But you could listen to that. But then your wife tries to tell you something about her day. And you're like, I have to finish this email. So then you are not going to have any sex, right? Because she has to be vulnerable. Now, this is the TLDR. She has to be vulnerable to give you the sex that you want. If she does not feel emotionally safe with you because you're always acting like a dick, or you're just neutral to her and act kind of like a roommate, then, you're not going to get laid. So usually I'm saying to the woman, all the times I'm not telling you to be more romantic, I'm telling her to be more sexual. This is one for you to be more romantic. But you should hear this right from the horse's mouth right now. There is no healthy woman that's going to sleep with a man regularly that is not expressing his love within the context of a marriage. Really. And so then sometimes people say to me, we haven't said I love you like 2 years. Well, shit. How many times have you had sex? Well, we've only had sex 4 times. Well, that's 4 more times than you should have in that context. And maybe if she was a little bit more emotionally healthy and hadn't grown up in whatever shit she grew up in, she would have said that. Well, man, of course we're in a sexless marriage because we do not say I love you to each other. Because even this, she cannot express. So for women that are sleeping with men that are not very loving, then it should be a wake-up call. Don't do that. Definitely don't do that. And I'm a super big proponent of marital sex. But if the guy's not saying I love you, why are you doing that? That's just putting yourself in a situation where you feel bad about yourself. And that is something that you could talk about in therapy for sure. Why am I still sleeping with this guy that does not express love? And taking care of the kids that are half of your DNA is not expressing love to your wife, of course, nor is cleaning the house. That is half your house. And so, what is expressing love is expressing love. Saying, I love you. You are the love of my life. I am happy to be with you. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are great. I look forward to spending the rest of our lives together. You should really and of course this is my Facebook group, but like you should join my Facebook group because the good thing about it is it's men and women. And so then men could be like, I said this thing to my wife, what should I say instead? And women can say the same sort of thing about whatever issues they have, and they get real-time feedback. If you don't want to join my Facebook group, don't know why, but you should ask, the internet on Google, what are romantic things to say to my wife? Or you could read my posts, or you could just go on I always think that men should read books written by women with female protagonists. You got to understand and empathize with the female experience and understand what's important to women. I try to provide that, but it's only like a podcast. You really got to be working one-on-one with a female therapist. You got to be doing a deep dive into female psychology to understand why it's so important for her to hear these expressions of love. This is how women are. This is what they're trained since they're little girls, is to look for a man who says things like, I love you, my beautiful girl, I'm so happy to be with you and to build a life together. This is the reason whenever all these workhorse guys that make shitloads of money but they're in sexless marriages, they're always so surprised that there are guys who make no money, barely any money, and the women are so happy with them. Why? Because they're romantic, because they make the woman feel special. And it isn't all bullshit like these cynical workhorse men think. There are very highly sensitive, romantic, emotional men out there, They are the same little boys that used to cry if there was a hurt, animal on the sidewalk, grow into the men that are being very romantic. It's just like a personality type. If you don't have that personality type, okay, she doesn't have the personality type of a real sexually open woman, but you can both learn and do better. So if you are not saying I love you every day, start today. Start today, and if you cannot get those words out of your throat, then you really need to go to couples counseling immediately. But every day, I love you every day in a marriage is baseline. All right, I hope that you guys got something out of this. Please do join my Facebook group if you took that point as relevant, that perhaps you need to understand more about the other experience of the other gender. And I will talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.